All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about one of the most mysterious and controversial objects on the planet, the Shroud of Turin. You've probably heard of it. It's this long linen cloth with the faint image of a man on it, a man who appears to have been crucified. For hundreds of years, millions have believed it's the actual burial cloth of Jesus. But for just as long, skeptics have called it the most clever fake in history. And that really is the heart of the matter, isn't it? What are we really looking at here? Is this some kind of miraculous 2,000-year-old artifact? Or is it an unbelievably brilliant forgery, a work of art so advanced it continues to fool us? The thing is, the evidence, well, it points in both directions at once. You know, the modern story of the Shroud doesn't actually start in an ancient Jerusalem. Nope, it starts in a photographer's darkroom in Italy, right at the end of the 1800s. And this is where things get weird. Picture this. It's 1898, and a photographer named Secondo Pia gets permission to take the first ever pictures of the Shroud. Later that night, he's in his darkroom developing the big glass negatives when he sees something that makes absolutely no sense. The image on his negative wasn't a negative. It was a crystal clear, perfectly detailed positive image of a man's face. He was so stunned he almost dropped the plate, and in that one moment, a holy relic became a modern scientific mystery.
So let's break down what this actually means, because it's a huge deal. When you look at the Shroud with your own eyes, the image is really faint and hard to make out. But when you see a photographic negative of it, bam! All the light and shadow values flip and a stunningly clear portrait appears. The Shroud itself acts like a negative. And here's the kicker. For a medieval forger to create that, they would have had to invent the concept of photography about 500 years early. It's just mind-boggling.
So, Pia's photo basically lit a fire under the scientific community. For the next century, everyone was asking the same question. What on earth created this image? The question was simple, but the answer? Anything but. Flash forward to 1978. A team of top-notch scientists, they called themselves STURP, gets a once-in-a-lifetime chance. 5 straight days of 24/7 access to the cloth. They bring in tons of high-tech gear. Now, you have to understand, most of them went in as skeptics. They fully expected to find some paint, figure out how it was done, and call it a day. But that's not quite how it went down. The first bombshell they dropped was a big one. After running every test imaginable, they couldn't find a single trace of paint, ink, dye, or any kind of pigment on the image areas. There were no brush strokes, no directionality. It's like the image wasn't put on the cloth at all. It was just there. And then it got even stranger. They discovered that the image is unbelievably superficial. It only exists on the very topmost fibers of the linen, a depth so shallow it's measured in micrometers, way thinner than a single human hair. Think about it. Any liquid, any paint would have seeped into the cloth. This didn't. To this day, we don't know how to create an image like that. We literally can't replicate it. Okay, this last one sounds like something out of science fiction. Unlike any painting or photograph, the image on the Shroud has 3D information encoded in it. The darkness of the image is directly related to how far the cloth was from the body. This allowed scientists to create an accurate 3D model just from the image data. You just can't do that with a normal 2D picture. No way. So, if it's not paint, what in the world is it? Well, the STURP scientists concluded that the image is a chemical change in the cloth itself. The fibers are discolored, almost like they were rapidly aged or lightly scorched. The leading theory from those who believe it's authentic is that some kind of brief, intense burst of radiation seared the image onto the cloth. Now, let's shift gears for a second, because the STURP team wasn't just looking at the faint body image. They were also looking very, very closely at what appeared to be bloodstains. And man, the details here are chilling. First off, they confirmed it's real human blood, type AB positive. It's also full of bilirubin, something your body produces under extreme trauma. The wound marks match up perfectly with Roman crucifixion methods, including nail wounds in the wrists, not the palms. Now that's a key detail because most medieval artists got that wrong, but anatomically, the wrist is where the nail would have to go. And maybe most telling of all? The blood was on the cloth first, and then the image was formed. There's no image underneath the blood. All right, so everything we've talked about seems to point one way. But now we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The one piece of evidence that, for decades, seemed to blow every other theory out of the water.
In 1988, a sample of the Shroud was sent to 3 different labs for carbon-14 dating. The results came back unanimous and declared that the cloth was made between 1260 and 1390, right in the Middle Ages. Case closed, right? Well, all's on. Critics immediately pointed out that the sample was taken from a corner that had been repaired by nuns centuries ago, potentially mixing newer material with the old. And just recently, a brand new dating technique, one that looks at the decay of the linen itself, dated the cloth to, you guessed it, right around 2,000 years ago. So the debate is back on, bigger than ever.
Okay, so let's say you're not convinced by that 1988 carbon date. Proponents still have another huge problem. If the shroud is 2,000 years old, where was it for 1,300 years before it suddenly showed up in France?
Well, the argument goes something like this. The shroud didn't just appear out of thin air. It was hiding in plain sight. Many researchers believe it was known for centuries in the East as the image of Edessa, a famous cloth relic with the face of Jesus on it, which disappeared right around the time the shroud popped up in Europe.
And there's another incredible piece to this puzzle, a different relic called the Sudarium of Oviedo. It's a smaller face cloth, supposedly used to cover Jesus' face right after death. It has a known history going all the way back to the 600s. Now, it has no image, just bloodstains. But here's the amazing part. The blood is also type AB positive, and forensic experts have shown that the patterns of the blood and fluid stains on the Sudarium are a perfect geometric match to the wounds on the face of the man in the shroud. It's like a forensic fingerprint connecting the two cloths and two moments in time.
So this is where we're left. It's a total paradox. On one hand, you have this object with all these bizarre, unique properties that science can't explain or replicate. The photographic negativity, the 3D data, the weird chemical nature of the image, all of it. And on the other hand, you have that one single carbon date from 1988 that says it's medieval, a test that is now seriously in question.
So it leaves us with the ultimate question. Are we looking at something unexplainable? An artifact with properties so strange they defy our current understanding of physics and chemistry? Or are we looking at the work of some medieval Leonardo da Vinci, a forger so impossibly brilliant that he created a masterpiece we still can't figure out 500 years later? What does the evidence say to you?